It's incredible. I mean, the World Bank, they do some business in the nastiest places of the world. I mean, theoretically, the World Bank is the kind of place that will help finance a project in the third world, like build a power plant in the Congo or something. So they are dealing in some of the most corrupt places in the world. If SNC-Lavelin is too corrupt for the World Bank, Andrew, and yet the government of Canada still refuses to write them off, that's super gross. The World Bank is in the nastiest reaches, and if they say, we're not going to deal with SNC-Lavelin, we'll work in the Congo, we'll work in the worst places, but not with SNC-Lavelin, that's embarrassing for Canada, but that is all Justin Trudeau.
Yeah, he prides himself that Canada's back. I mean, this isn't the ranking we want to be on the top of here, but you are very much correct. And when you look at the number of executives, and I'm not talking about some low-level janitor at SNC's offshoot company, but CEOs, vice presidents, former CEOs and former vice presidents that have been convicted of corruption, there is a huge question mark as to why there was any lobbying on justice. And this is something that, when we go back to Trudeau's use of the word directed, whether it was directed, implied, requested, doesn't matter. If we're talking about interference, and we are seeing a proven track record of private meetings. Look, I've been trying to get an interview with Justin Trudeau since he became prime minister, and I haven't been able to get anywhere on it. Yet somehow this company that has a great many convicts among its former ranks is able to get there every month.
Well, yeah, I mean, Trudeau seems to meet with the strangest people. He gave $10.5 million to Omar Khadr. He's had at least 2 meetings with Joshua Boyle, Khadr's former brother-in-law, who went to join the Taliban. So I guess you just have the wrong ideology, Andrew. Here's a question that hit me immediately when I saw this headline yesterday. It was the first thing I thought. Jody Wilson-Raybould, who I didn't really have much time for, I'll be honest, I have a new respect for her, because to stand up to the man who appointed you and to lose your high position as Justice Minister over a point of principle and to bear that quietly, that's quite a sign of character. I didn't see it coming. And I salute her now, and I have a respect for her I did not have before. By the way, her dad, I mean, she's not saying anything. She says she's bound by solicitor-client privilege. Her father made a Facebook post yesterday which basically said, now we know why my daughter was fired. And I think it's a good proxy for what she herself would say. But my first thought, Andrew, was, if Gerald Butts and Katie Telford and Justin Trudeau and half the cabinet and all their advisors were part of this big swarm, like 50 people were swarming Jody Wilson-Raybould here, and she resisted them, was this really the first time they went to bat for a corporate friend of Trudeau? I mean, do they do the same thing with Bombardier, another company that has criminal prosecutions around the world for corruption? Do they do the thing for Huawei, which, as we know, was a huge donor to the Trudeau think tank called Canada 2020? So it immediately got me thinking, Andrew, we found out about this because of some luck and some good reporting by the Globe and Mail. Give them credit. What else is there 6/7 of the iceberg that remains underwater and unseen?
Well, that's a big question, and as is true of this case, we don't know until we know. But I do think that it's relevant to look at what happened with John McCallum in China and Huawei just a few short weeks ago as an illustration that a lot of the times these things are hidden in plain sight. And we know that John McCallum was ultimately fired. The big question mark still is whether he was fired for what he said or because there needed to be a scapegoat once he got caught. And I know that case has been covered in a fair bit of detail now, but it stands to reason that you don't expect a senior cabinet minister or a senior ambassador who's been in cabinet to go rogue and to speak in such specifics without having direction. And again, I don't want to implicate someone in a conspiracy that might not exist, because I am not the conspiratorial type, contrary to popular belief, but you have to look at the evidence. And in the last month, we have now 2 big examples of a high-ranking figure being linked to a company that has a lot questionable going on in it.
That's an excerpt from the Ezra Levant show. Every day, I do a video monologue, and then I interview an interesting guest. And then I end by reading my hate mail, but you've got to subscribe to it, which you can do at therebel.media/shows.